As I'm sure many of you have heard, the city of Michigan held a Senate hearing in order to hear out some of the people who were brought forward with different accounts of fraud happening within the Michigan election. And I sort of wanted to do some digging on that afterward, follow the aftermath. I watched it live, but you may not have, so welcome to the information zone. Here we have first, I just wanted to show this part, it's kind of funny. Many Detroit vote count concerns put to Senate committee already explained, but let me tell you they are not very good explanations. Several of the allegations put forth by those who addressed the committee during 5 hours of testimony had already been debunked as a misunderstanding of how the counting process works. For example, some were alarmed about a batch of ballots delivered to the absentee counting board at 3 a.m. the Wednesday after the election. Those ballots had met the 8 p.m. deadline to be submitted and had to first be processed at the clerk's office before being sent to TCF to be counted. So they were, of course, being processed at the clerk's office until exactly 3 p.m. when they arrived, the time when everyone had already gone home, everyone turned off the election results for the night. So somewhat of an odd coincidence. I think back to, I believe it was Georgia, where they told observers that at around the same time they were done counting for the night. You know, you can go home, everything is fine and secure, only to keep counting after all the observers had left. Somewhat of a weird coincidence that I guess they had a clerk's office around there too. A lot of different weird stuff happens at 3 a.m., you know, ghost hour, spooky zone. The Houdini special from the Democrats comes out. It also says, additionally, some Republicans have also claimed they were not allowed to watch, but the News 8 crew that was present saw plenty of Republican poll watchers at work. What does that have to do with anything? Who's the News 8 crew? I don't give a damn what the News 8 crew says. That's about as valid as me stating that there were not Republicans there to watch the polls, and I don't even live in Michigan. They are equally valid statements. The News 8 crew that's their rebuttal. A lot of factual evidence going on here. It also states here, no actual evidence of any wrongdoing or fraud was presented. Despite repeated questions requesting such evidence from lawmakers, Secretary of State's office spokesperson Jake Rollo said of the testimony in a statement. So, funnily enough, actually signed affidavits and these different testimonies that these people gave are evidence in and of themselves. They are testimonies. They are things that fall under perjury, where these people will go to prison if they are lying about it. And yet this isn't evidence. The same thing can happen in a murder case. If you are a witness to a murder and you go in under oath and testify, you can be held accountable and you can go to prison for it. They hold the same amount of weight in court. Yet this time, this isn't evidence. These hundreds of people that came up and proclaimed exactly what they saw, not evidence at all. Instead, we saw a regurgitation of vague accusations, which I will show you that they're not vague, they're very specific, based on a lack of knowledge of election procedure and widely debunked conspiracy theories. We hope the state Senate will allow future testimony illustrating the facts underlying this election, which is that it was one of the most secure, well-administered in our state's history. I love when they say that, because it's like, no matter what the case is, if you tell someone, this is the best, this is the greatest of all time, and it is exactly how it was supposed to go, they're not going to believe you. Why would anyone believe that? It's like, how is this the most secure? What made this one the most secure? The Ethernet cords running into the wall from the back of the Dominion machines, linking them up to the internet when they weren't supposed to be? Very secure. So after reading this, little disappointed, I decided to go to the Michigan Senate Committee here, the testimony archive, because I wanted to do a little research. I wanted to get like a written archive of what the people had testified. And I found something a bit odd. If we click on current session year here, an error, a magical error. An unhandled error has occurred in the Senate Committee page. Ooh, I wonder when it will be back up and when this will be fixed. It's sort of odd how all these magic errors happen only in these areas. I'm almost positive I could go to Ohio's Senate Committee page and it worked just fine, just how it's supposed to. But Michigan's, nah, we can't see it. So I had to do a little more digging, find a different route to hear what these people had to say. I mean, as I said, I already watched the hearing, but I wanted like a written testimony that I could present to you guys. So 4 takeaways from the Michigan Senate's election fraud hearing. Number 1, dead voters and vacant addresses, something that has been widely proclaimed across the board, in Georgia, everywhere. And if you're Brad Raffensperger, then this problem only affects the runoff Senate. It doesn't affect, or the runoff election. It doesn't at all affect the presidency. No one would do that in the presidency. It says here, Chris Shornack, that's his name, I think, volunteered with Guard the Vote after the balloting. It went through 30,000 of the 172,000 absentee ballots in the city of Detroit. He said the group found 229 of these 30,000 we went through are deceased. Sorry, I don't know why I pronounced that wrong. He added that 2,660 of them were invalid addresses described by vacant lots and burnt down houses, something also found across the board in all of these states magically. It's almost as if there's sort of this weird conspiring happening where all of these coincidences of the exact same things happen in all of these states. As I said, the 3 a.m. magic hour where, oh, the counting is done, you can go home, I promise nothing will happen. The ballots are safe with me. Alright, keep on counting, go, go, go. It's all that happens. What I can say for sure, and swear to you here today, is that overall 8.9% of the 30,000 absentee ballots that we've gone through and investigated just in the city of Detroit were unqualified, fraudulent ballots that should have been spoiled. He extrapolated about how the 30,000 sample could reflect on all the absentee votes cast. At the lowest level, if these percentages carry through, this means of the 172,000 in the city of Detroit, 1,300 of them could be deceased. He told the senators, "We are investigating it, and another 15,000 could have fraudulent addresses described as living in vacant lots or in burnt down houses." So keep doing your investigation. I look forward to hearing what you come up with, Mr. Shornack. I think that was it, yeah. Shornack. Number 2, a referendum with only 2 choices. Former Michigan State Senator Pat Colbeck, who has a background in information technology and cybersecurity, having worked for the Defense Department, NASA, and other entities, testified that the numbers do not match up to demonstrate Biden clearly won the state, or at least not by the margin as it stands now. So someone with some clear credentials. I couldn't think of someone with more credentials themselves at all. Yeah, I literally can't think of an example. I was thinking like Neil Armstrong or something, but he doesn't have any inner workings with cybersecurity in the Defense Department. So he says here, there has been a huge narrative around this whole election that says number 1, it started off saying that there is no voter fraud. Then the narrative changed in the media to say there is no widespread voter fraud. Funny how he picks up on this too, as a lot of people do at this point. Then it changed into there is no widespread voter fraud that could impact the result of this election. It's crazy how far they backpedal each time. It's like, well, a little has come out, a little here, a little there, or there's widespread, but it wouldn't impact anything. How do you know when you claim that there isn't any and you are unwilling to look into any of the information? As we saw before, the previous article said that they debunked these claims with someone from their own news team stating that there were Republicans within the vicinity. That holds no weight at all. They claim that people who signed affidavits under perjury are the ones who don't provide any evidence, when that in itself is evidence, yet their source is someone who works for their news team telling them, yeah, I saw Republicans there. Makes no sense. Now, I guarantee that a 2-year-old would be able to follow the thought trail here and figure out who is incorrect. He also states, with the Dominion voting systems, he added, there is a transmittal of fractional vote data. You guys have done a lot of votes inside the Senate, as I did when I was serving my 2 terms. I don't recall any of those vote tallies up on the board having a decimal point. Do you guys? He asked his former colleagues. That is quite an odd claim. How do you have like 0.2 of a ballot? That doesn't really add up to me. I'm not sure what he is in reference of, but I assume he knows what he's talking about. Dude worked for NASA, dude. I don't even know. He's on another level, I guess. Every one of those tabulator machines was connected to an Ethernet cable. The Ethernet cable connected to a router. The router connected to all of the other computers in that network, including up to what is called the local data center, which was managing all of the returns for 503 precincts in the city of Detroit. But yet I recall that these Dominion voting machines aren't hooked up to the internet. That's hearsay. That is conspiratorial. Oh, there's an Ethernet cord literally running out of the back of them. That's just to supply power to them. It was actually a power cable. This guy with his NASA credentials, he doesn't know anything about Ethernet cables. What was further concerning is I saw an Ethernet cable coming from the wall connecting into one of these routers that was connected to the local data center, which was connected to all tabulators and adjudicators. That seemed to indicate an outside internet connection. Wow, he really put two and two together there. You're telling me. I mean, I guarantee someone who's literally like a 1-year-old in this age would be able to tell you that an Ethernet cord equals internet access. They literally correlate with one another. And yet he is stating here that this local data center connects to all of them and all 503 precincts in the city of Detroit. Crazy conspiratorial stuff we're finding out today. This is a referendum. There are only 2 choices for each of you in this context, Colbeck said. Number 1, you believe in principled constitutional governance, and you believe the chain of custody was broken. There is significant evidence of election fraud, or, and I'm not saying this lightly, there is an attempted coup. And I believe, honestly, that they go hand in hand. There's no way that across the board, these different types of occurrences, coincidences, let's call them, happen exact same timing, exact same everything. Different malfunctions within the systems, different human error where someone who, say an official who's not elected into that position so they have no power necessarily, is thrown under the bus as, well, it was a human error, so this person who can't be held accountable because he's not in a position of power happened to be the one that was malfunctioning, happened to be the one who incorrectly performed what they were supposed to. It's not the systems that are hooked up to the internet that they're not supposed to be at all. Now, this one was about a Dominion contractor. It's still pretty interesting, but I'm not too sure that I necessarily consider it too damning. So this one is odd enough in and of itself. There's also another couple of claims of actual truckers. You should watch this one. It's on Twitter. I'll put a link in the description if I remember. Yeah, so here's the tweet right now. As I said, if you would like to look into it, you definitely should, because it's pretty interesting. And this is one of, I believe, 2 or 3 people who have claimed similar things. And he said he didn't even vote in this election, so he's essentially bipartisan, from what I am understanding. Says Jesse Morgan, a truck driver with USPS subcontractor, says he was suspicious of his cargo load of 288,000 completed ballots. I was driving completed ballots from New York to Pennsylvania. I don't know, so I didn't speak up. Or so I decided to speak up. And he states that when he got to the place in Pennsylvania, he did what he usually does. He dropped off his truck where he was supposed to, parked his semi, went home for the night, and then he comes back to find that his trailer was actually gone with the ballots. And he gives this heartfelt story about how he loved this trailer too. If you know truckers, man, they love their trailer, they love their semi and everything. And it is company property, but still, it's what he was using, and it was just gone. The whole trailer of 288,000 ballots from New York to Pennsylvania. I'm not sure why ballots would need to travel across state borders. Filled out ones, it doesn't necessarily make sense unless they were like mailed to the wrong state, I guess. It doesn't even make sense. Now, number 4 here, a truck full and Xeroxing of ballots. So they sort of show the conversation here back and forth. He states that it was at 3 to 4 in the morning in that window that the magic hour, baby. 3 to 4 in the morning where the ballots start flowing in. They just got processed, didn't you hear? We needed to process them there first and then bring them in at 3 a.m. Just coincidentally when people stop watching. State Senator Sylvia Santana, a Democrat, was skeptical about the witness. I wonder why. Was there any particular reason you didn't ask for a supervisor to question the ballots coming in on a dolly? Santana asked. Dubio said, I didn't think I needed to because the lead counsel was supposed to be there, was taking tally, and I was standing right next to him. So Of course, the lead counsel standing right there as ballots are being offloaded, nothing weird going on here, just 3 a.m. magic hour Houdini. He said, so I figured he was the kind of person that was overseeing the whole night. That's what we were told. We were talking directly about why are these coming in. We all thought it was interesting that all these were coming in so late. We were definitely perplexed these were coming in so late, as well that they were coming in to be counted. So who knows, this may even be the last guy's missing trailer, honestly. I hope it is. He gave the number, so if you ever see that trailer out there, I think it was like 101440R or something, keep an eye out for it. He wants it back. Says, not one of the ballots was a registered military voter, and the ballots looked like they were all the same Xeroxed copies of the ballot, she told the committee. They were all for Biden across the board. There wasn't a single Trump vote. None of the voters were registered. She said that election workers entered names and addresses with phony birth dates that she said would override the system and allow them to enter non-registered voters. Throughout the day, that's how they could override voters that were neither in the electronic poll book or the supplemental updated poll book, Murray said. So the defense of this, which I still don't even understand, is that, oh, well, this is just, the machine needs an input date of birth, so this is just the default one that can be implemented, which just blows my mind, because it's like, if the ballot doesn't have the person's date of birth, or the machine doesn't have the person's date of birth in the machine, how are you allowed to input just some random one to allow their vote to go through? That doesn't make any sense at all. That does not compute. That sounds like entirely illegal, which I assume it is. But of course, there has to be a bypass to allow votes that shouldn't be cast to go through, because what would we do without that? Throw out a ballot that's invalid? That'd be ludicrous. That'd be conspiracy. Crazy. All right, well, that's the end of that one. Just wanted to provide some more evidence, since evidently the Michigan Senate won't allow me to look through their archive. I don't know why. What's up with that? If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.